That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
No tears, please. It's a waste of good suffering.
Fairly alarmed here.
Welcome to MOTN Presents Random Select. This is Masters of the Nerdiverse is Random Selects, where we choose 8 topics within pop culture and make them fight against each other until there's only one bloody victor. I'm, of course, your ringleader, Mike G. And with me, as always, is Winter Trash Monk the Thizard.
What's up? It is Trash Monk, the third Trash Monk.
And always back with us is the brains in the brawn himself, Brian.
Bro, hashtag hard cuts, man.
Hard cuts.
Hard cuts coming in. Coming in hot. I'm just calling it right now.
Man,
Some like it hot.
Some like
Thanks
it.
for having me. I'm glad to be back. Knife fight behind the bar.
Some like it hard cuts.
Some like it hard cuts. And happy Cinco de Mayo. May your tacos be plentiful. I surprisingly have not had a taco.
What? You're the taco lord around
Yeah.
here.
I was like, you know what? Whatever. I got to move on. And I was wondering if the COVID world is just so different that tacos are like different. But
Yeah, it's the new norm, yeah.
How do you move on from tacos? Like, you had a bad breakup?
I'm not going to say we had a bad breakup. I'm just going to say it may be complicated. That's all I'm going to say.
Tell me how am I
didn't get a taco
supposed to
today.
live
Tacos
without
on
tacos?
vacation farm.
In fact, just to break off a little bit, I'm having a little bit of chicken and some caramelized carrots. I believe I've had that before.
You can never leave the mistress, which is chicken, dog.
Dude, seriously.
Speaking of chicken, these 2 movies are playing chicken. And we're going to see who gets scarred and swerves off into the Mulholland Drive, dog.
Hashtag hard cuts.
Benedict freaking Canyon. So today we're going to be talking about 1959's own, directed by Billy Wilder, Some Like It Hot.
Some like it hot.
Yes.
Man.
Can we talk about this movie for a little bit?
What is everyone's experience with the movie first?
None. Just heard about it in passerby, pretty much all my life. Like, oh, some like it hot, some like it hot. But no.
I watched it about 5 years ago with my grandmama and family.
Grandmama.
Yeah, and it was. I thought it was hilarious. Still think so.
This is one of those movies that has always been on the periphery. Like you said, Brian, like on the periphery of my life. Marilyn Monroe, the best thing since sliced bread. But this is actually the very first time tonight I've actually watched a Marilyn Monroe production, dog. Like ever.
Mike, I will ditto that. I've seen clips. I've seen the tributes, XXX, whatever the case may be.
What?
Like, I didn't get it. I didn't get it.
Like actually, that was the first place I went as like a tourist attraction here was her grave. A friend of mine took me there, and I was like, and it's weird. There's like lipstick all over it, and people come and
lipstick brings the boys to the graveyard.
So I am with you. Like I have never watched one of her movies.
100%. Like, my closest connection with Marilyn Monroe up until tonight was Elton John's Goodbye Norma Jean. That was it. That was it. That's all I knew about Norma Jean, about Marilyn Monroe, was that one song. And my dad would play it in the house at least once a day. He super loved that song. That's all I knew about Marilyn Monroe. I didn't watch any of her movies. But of course, you're bombarded with paraphernalia, with T-shirts, because people were absolutely in love with her to this day. The current generation idolize her, and I never got it. Like, what's the big deal? Like, she's beautiful, yeah. But this movie sold me on why she was such a thing back then.
Yeah, I can recall, like, again, like I was in the same boat as you guys before I seen this. That I've seen her in the periphery of my vision, you know, like there's references to her in cartoons, references to her in even the movie Tommy, where Eric Clapton played the priest of the Church of Marilyn Monroe. Good movie.
Very good movie.
Yes. And yeah, and the way she's saying Mr. President, like, could you do a little sample of that, Mike, for us?
Sure. Happy birthday, Mr. President. That's all I got.
Okay.
I did it though.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm brave enough to do it. I did it. But yeah, she kind of steals every scene she's in. Without question.
Without question.
Without question.
I mean, I get it. I was like, oh, all right, I get it.
It was one of those things where it just clicked in your brain.
Right.
Like, I was like, oh. I was not paying attention because, Tony Curtis, Jack Lemmon, they're awesome, right? But the second she, you see her at that train station, and you're like, oh, she had 2020 curves in 1929. You know what I mean? Like, oh.
Like, do you think that there was I feel like there's a whole other energy to her, than everyone else in the movie, if that makes sense. There's a little bit more pop.
She's on a different planet than everybody else.
She's freaking Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, she probably had drugs in her system too, but it's
one of those things where Jack Lemmon, Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis aren't slouches, dude. Freaking, they're the odd couple, dude. You know what I'm saying?
I want to say that when the credits were rolling and Marilyn Monroe's name came up, I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. I didn't know what I was getting. But when Jack Lemmon's name came up, I was like, oh, yeah, exactly what I'm getting. And this is actually going to be funny. And I was actually stoked for the film.
Dude, I didn't know what I was getting 100% because I had no idea what the movie was even about. I didn't know it was a kind of, Three's Company kind of situation where they have to go in use of a better word, drag, to one, hide away from the gangsters looking for them, and also to get the gig they wanted. So, they played on that, and the movie had strong ideals about, kind of like how women were treated back then. I didn't know this movie was going to have something to say or how loud they're going to say it way back then. But you can kind of feel how, the fellas were kind of dealing with that, being treated in this chorus line or whatever, what they were doing. Very interesting stuff they were talking about in this movie. On top of that being hilarious.
By the way, that's big band music, ladies and gentlemen, for you boys and girls that might be a tad bit too young. Go to a cabaret. It's fantastic.
Life is but a cabaret.
Life is a cabaret, old chum.
Great minds think alike, winner. This is why you get the big bucks. This movie was surprisingly dark. There's some really dark moments in this movie.
Dark?
You mean the mob?
The mob just mercilessly killing people on screen.
I mean, I gotta admit, I was like,
okay.
What year was this made? Cool.
I was like, okay, 1959. I was like,
this is gonna be a decent comedy because,
okay, this is some RoboCop shit,
right?
Like only
That's
Nikes, dude.
Yeah, that's
okay.
funny.
We're just gonna Tommy gun an entire row of people begging for their lives.
But I'm a huge fan of also 1920s era, Prohibition, gangsters, Al Capone. I love that stuff.
Oh yeah,
Little
Caesar.
Little
Caesar. The Cagney. The Cagney collection.
Yeah.
But we got to talk about for this film really how everything just kind of. I can see how this is a classic because everyone's chemistry was just on point.
Right.
Everybody had a real synergy with each other from how Tony Curtis worked with Marilyn to how Jack worked with Marilyn to how Marilyn worked by herself.
Tony Danza, you said?
Did I say Tony Danza? Jack? I said Tony Curtis. Tony Curtis.
Okay.
That's Jamie Lee Curtis's dad. Funny enough.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, I have to ask you guys.
Something new every day.
Oh yeah. And her mom was the I forget her Jane.
Sally Raphael.
Sally Raphael. She played. She was in Psycho. She was the star that killed in Psycho. Jamie Lee
Gotcha.
Curtis, Hollywood royalty.
Yeah.
Is it just me, or when Jack Lemmon was in his girl and was playing a woman, were you getting strong Joker vibes?
No, I was getting confused between the two of them. I swear to God, they made them look so much alike. I was just going back and forth, and I'm like, which one is this? Is this Tony? Jack? Who?
I don't know,
What?
man. Jack
Yeah.
really was giving, like, the way he was laughing and his smile and they caked this makeup on him, so his face was almost like chalk white.
I see what you're
retros-
saying.
In hindsight, I will say that smile that he had was kind of crazy.
It was
Yeah.
crazy. I was getting crazy, like Jack Nicholson Joker vibes from it. And I was like, that's
So-
kind of dope.
And the hard to tell between Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis type thing. I think like if this film was, this is following up to my next question. If it was made today, it would be a little easier to determine because you can just go, one's a redhead, one's blonde. But
It being in black and white.
yes.
Mhm.
And do you think that this movie could be made today?
Yeah, 100%.
Who would you cast in it?
I don't know, man. Who's the hottest female actress we have right now? That can never hold a kid. I mean, no one living can hold a candle to Marilyn Monroe, so it's
Right.
kind of not fair.
Right. That's
But-
why they should go like alternative to like have like
Go like Rihanna
Or-
or something like that, man.
Rihanna, Ruby, Rose, or whatever.
Go like Rihanna. Go a songstress, dude. Go a completely different
Taylor
direction.
Swift,
No.
Billie Eilish.
Billie Eilish, sure. Oh man, this one listener I know is gonna hate that. Billie Eilish.
That sounds like
They're
a garbage movie.
They're gonna hate that, dog.
Right now.
Yeah, Billie Eilish will replace Marilyn Monroe all day.
They could do a role reversal where it's two
A guy.
women dressing up as guy.
That would be cool too. That'd be neat. You know,
Honestly, I'm just doing a quick search here, and the chat can let me know, or our listeners can let me know. I don't think they've ever remade a Marilyn Monroe movie.
No.
that's weird, dude. You would think, right?
Because I went through to answer your question, I was like, because yes, I've seen this movie. Tootsie, Tu Wong Fu.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I've seen
Yeah.
this movie countless times, but it always got me thinking: was the chicken before the egg, or the egg before the chicken? So, so is this the first time this idea kind of hit, and that's how come it's such an iconic movie? But in answer to your question, yeah, I mean, they've remade this movie a couple of times. I don't think they've made this movie this well a couple of times, but it was
This movie's smart, dude.
Well,
Victor Victoria.
they filled each one of those minutes. When I first saw the running time, I'm like, it's a comedy. Like, it's black and like, what are we getting? And they filled each one of those minutes, and I was like, wow, this is a really well.
I was never bored.
Made movie. No,
If I wasn't laughing, I was just enamored with Marilyn Monroe. If I wasn't enamored with her, I was laughing at, you know, the fellas with Marilyn Monroe, or I was intrigued by the underlining gangster, side story. And the movie is so well shot. I don't know if it was like an HD bump up I saw, but it was very beautifully lit in some shots, dude. Like the yacht scene between Marilyn Monroe and Tony Curtis. It's a great scene. You know what I mean?
yeah, absolutely. Winter, Mike, you mentioned laughing, but Winter, you said you watched this with your
Grandmama.
grandmama. I was like, Mima?
Meanwhile,
And you laughed. So here's my question. Is the movie funny?
Yes. I think it is. So it's interesting because I remember the last time we did Random Select, A Thing from Another Planet, one of the big arguments I made was like, if you're going to the school of film, this would be something that A Thing from Another Planet would be something that would be on the curriculum. This would be in the curriculum as well as like a film that is both a period piece for us now in the sense that it shows us show business back in the day, shows how like you got to have like a musical number, and you got to have like a cross-dressing in film, or it's not going to be funny, or like that's how you get some yucks.
That's high praise.
Yeah.
Is this required reading, so to speak, in the catacombs of comedy era? Yes. I mean, a lot of things wouldn't have happened without this movie. A lot of directions wouldn't have been taken without this movie. I love that it's in black and white. I saw that there was colored versions of it. I don't want to see that. I like my black and whites in black and white. Is it funny? Yeah, it's really funny. It's not, like you said, there's, parameters to it where it's like I wasn't dying holding my ribs, but it kept me entertained. I was entertained throughout the entire movie.
Okay. Entertained is not necessarily funny, but I'll take it. I understand. Yeah. And I guess I will say, if you're a new listener, welcome. I don't like to laugh.
He doesn't.
I laughed one time. Is it funny? Not really. Is it good timing? Yes.
Yeah.
Good timing. It's snappy. It's hip for the time. Was laughing? Not necessarily. And Winter, as far as required viewing goes, I have went 41 years without actually seeing this movie. And I'm not going to say that it's changed my life. Like, I know who Marilyn Monroe is.
Right.
It makes sense. But as far as, like, a film goes, I mean,
But it's like if you're going to the school of like film or stuff like that, I would say that you've got to have, if not both of these movies that we're going to discuss today, at least Young Frankenstein, if not this in the extra credits.
Like if you were having a specific film class of films from the 1950s or 60s that were must see, I'd say yes. Mm-hmm. But if you are, 22 years old, living your life happily, like, yeah, no, man. Like,
I mean, is this
movie? If you're living your life happily, you're not going to a film school.
That's what I'm saying. Right. Yeah. First of all, like, this movie is not it's in the zeitgeist of pop culture.
Yeah.
But like you said, if you're going to a class studying comedy theory, and it's like, okay, these are the XYZs to comedy, I think this should be on the curriculum. I would say that. You know what I mean?
I'd like us to come up with that curriculum, and I am not going to be a good teacher, so
I wouldn't be either. I'm a hard man.
I'm going to be terrible.
Masters of the Comedy Verse, Doug. We are not the gentlemen, Doug.
So
you got to be cool to be a comedian. I'm just kidding.
I mean, hey, it's hard work. A lot of folks have always said, hey, man, you should be a stand-up comedian. I'm like, you're crazy.
Right.
Getting up in front of people, singing, dancing, acting, talking, whatever, selling stuff.
You're selling yourself, man.
A stand-up comedian? No, you got room, man. I will give you a wide berth because that's hard to do.
Man, I respect it, man. So with that, can we move on to MOTN Masterpiece Theater?
Yes.
Is it time?
So,
are you ready?
So just to name our theater players, Osgood. The role of Osgood will be played by the one and only Brian, and I, Winter Trash Mode III, will be playing Jerry. Okay. Narrating the scene when necessary is Mike G.
I'm the narrator,
and
I need popcorn.
And the scene begins. Oh, no, you don't. Look, Osgood, I'm going to level with you. We can't get married at all.
Why not?
Well, to begin with, I'm not a natural blonde.
It doesn't matter.
And I smoke. I smoke all the time.
I don't care.
And I have a terrible past. For 3 years now, I've been living with a saxophone player.
I forgive you.
And I can never have children.
We'll adopt some.
But you don't understand. I'm a man.
Well, nobody's perfect.
Insane.
I like the energy. I like the energy from both of you. It's strong. Yeah. It was potent. Like Sex Panther by Odeon.
One of the best scenes of the movie, actually, in my opinion. One of the best scenes of the movie because you were like, yeah, of course he knew.
Come on, man. He was down.
Really? Like, of course he knew.
Yeah, man. Love it. True love.
It was definitely a cute movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, man, anyway.
Cute. It was a very cute movie. Am I happy I saw it? Is this a waste of time? No.
Are you going to watch it again?
I would watch it again. Maybe not in the next 10 years, but I would watch it again. I'm happy I saw it.
I find it interesting, and I don't remember all the movies we've seen because we've seen a lot of movies so far, but how many of them have been straight comedies? Because this is a comedy romance, and like Beverly Hills Cop, comedy action. So I'm interested when I'm watching it to see how the comedy is wound in, and
comedy is weird because it's hard just
comedies?
to. It's hard to just have a straight
Austin
comedy.
Powers. Austin Powers.
That's a spy drama comedy.
No,
I mean,
stop.
that's not a spy. That's not a speedometer, man. It's not a speedometer.
Ghostbusters is paranormal comedy.
It's psychological horror.
Unless you're literally having the kings of comedy with a freaking Steve Harvey in his big ass suits. It's nothing can be straight comedy. No.
Survey says.
Unless it's Eddie Murphy in that bright ass red jumpsuit doing Raw. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not gonna quote that.
It's not that.
Okay.
Comedy has to be interwoven into things. You know, like comedy is the whipped cream in the cake batter. You know.
Or what are you saying? Or else it's not funny? Or what?
No, unless it needs something to be fun. It needs something to bounce off of.
Okay, I understand.
Like comedians talk about life. They talk about situations, but it's not. But what is comedy without tragedy?
Yeah. You didn't name your favorite comedian yet, though. You were talking about him before we recorded.
My favorite comedian?
Yeah. You were listing all the great like kings of comedy. You didn't list the one that he sits in a chair and he has his tie and he talks about like kids need to pull up their pants. What's his name?
Are you doing a thing where you're besmirching the name of Mike G, Doug?
I don't know.
Truthfully, my favorite comedian used to be Dennis Miller, and then he super lost his mind. So I don't have a favorite anymore. Okay. I don't know. Sam Kinison? What?
No, stop.
There you go.
At least say Bill Hicks or something.
No, man. What? Andrew Dice Clay?
No, stop. Go back to Sam Kinison.
Oh!
I mean, if I had to pick a stand-up comedian, like...
George Carlin, dude.
If I'm just watching straight up their stand-up, like
comedy, Doug,
gotta be one.
Pure comedy.
Because Chris Rock's stand-up is, I mean, I laugh. There's none.
We don't speak of him here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You guys got a rule.
Can I say a cuss word?
I mean, it's your podcast.
Yeah. Only if you say that you enjoy Bill Cosby's comedy, then you can say a cuss word.
What?
So the next movie we're talking about is out of 1974.
Okay.
And it's directed by Mel Brooks. It is called Young Frankenstein.
Uh-huh.
You have to say it right. Otherwise, people get upset.
Dude, seriously.
Young Frankenstein. 1974. Didn't have to be in black and white, but it was. Because Mel Brooks is insane. Gene Wilder. I didn't know Cloris Leachman was in this movie. That was a fun surprise.
Uh-huh.
She's a very good comedy kind of method actor. You know what I mean?
Cloris Leachman, the great Peter Boyle.
Peter Boyle, dog. Gene Hackman was in this movie. Rest in peace.
Gene Hackman was in this movie?
He plays the blind. He plays the blind.
Oh my goodness!
Like monk.
You're right.
Oh yeah.
Where he's drinking he wants some soup and he's like dragging the spoon and Frankenstein's trying to like balance it.
Man, I made espresso.
I Cigars. Fire's good. This is okay. First of all,
misfire.
What's your favorite Mel Brooks film, Brian?
I don't like comedies, so I don't necessarily have a major or a favorite.
You're killing me, Smalls. Winner.
Dude, even Spaceballs isn't even like
what
Spaceballs. I'm like, dude, can we just watch Star Wars?
Winter.
I mean, they all have
Help
funny
me out
bits
here.
to me. They all have funny bits, but Young Frankenstein is the one that I keep going back to. This is like, out of all the movies we've had on the list, this is by far my favorite.
Wow.
This has the gold star. America's Got Talent. Boom.
Okay. Background. As a kid, I watched Spaceballs maybe about 700 times. No hyperbole. Like, my dad made a videotape of mine, and I've told this story before, but whatever. There were 3 movies on this VHS tape for you kids that I watched every single day from like 0 to like 10, and it was Masters of the Universe, RoboCop, and Spaceballs, in that order. And I will watch Spaceballs every single day. So that is my default Mel Brooks movie. But as an adult, it's Blazing Saddles, because that movie is damn perfection. Also with Gene Wilder. But this is actually the first time I've seen this head to toe ever, I think.
I will say Blazing Saddles is funny, but it is also offensive. And
oh yeah, you can never make that movie again.
Favorite, like, oh yeah, Blazing Saddles, my favorite movie, and it's like, oh, well, I guess that's nice. Like,
Blazing Saddles is splendidly disgusting.
Just for the record, another thing that I don't like that I'm gonna take some flack for is Mighty Python. I don't get it.
Oh,
It didn't come up.
There's reasons, there's reasons you don't like to laugh, man.
Yeah, I got you.
It's fine.
But I do have to agree. Blazing Saddles, although is funny, it is offensive, and that's why Young Frankenstein gets the above bill for me, because you can pull out Young Frankenstein anytime, and you can watch it. But Blazing Saddles, you have to be like, I can imagine like having like a friend over that you don't quite know their comedy, and then there's like the scene where the old lady shouts out a racial epithet, and that's the time that he decides to laugh.
I remember being at a comic book store, and for the comic book movie night, they played Blazing Saddles. So we're in this comic book store,
jeez,
open to the public, and this mom and her kid walked in to buy like Ms. Marvel number 20, and all you hear is, "The sheriffs are ding." The sheriffs are ding. And the mom was like, "I know what comes next. Let's get out of here." She grabbed the kid by his ears and wrung him out the store. And the store owner just looked, and we all just started busting up. Like, dude, you need to turn this off, dog.
And apparently they're making an animated film of Blazing Saddles.
God, no. Unless they're going to get the guy from Boondocks to do it, please don't ruin it. But we're talking about Young Frankenstein here.
Yes.
Gene Wilder, one of my favorite comedians of all time. The guy was ahead of its time.
Yeah.
So subtle.
As I was watching, I was like, this is probably the first comedian that goes up against Bill Murray as like just straight up legend. Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder, man.
But I mean, it's like, ooh, that's a rough one, man.
You know what I found myself doing is checking his facial tics. He is so smart. Like, the way he reacts to moments, like in the initial scene where he's teaching the class and the kid keeps bringing up his grandfather, you could see the irritation in his face like slowly boil before he snaps. And I'm like, this is brilliant, dude. Like, he's just, his face isn't changing. He's smiling and looking coy like a Family Guy character, but you can see his eyes start to twitch and his cheeks start to rumble. And it's like, this guy is so effing smart. Like, I love Gene Wilder.
Good. It's effortless on his part, and really easy to watch him on film.
Now, we talked about Blazing Saddles being inappropriate. Would you say that there are inappropriate moments in Young Frankenstein?
I don't.
In regards to sexuality? In regards to the treatment of women?
No.
In regards to the treatment of Frankenstein?
I mean,
no. I guess if you're really looking for it, there is the scene where Frankenstein's wife is assaulted by the monster.
Yes, she's practically. He takes it and she starts singing opera.
Yes,
which is that consent? Maybe.
Mel Brooks Like
Mel Brooks.
I watched it, and I was like,
That's the answer.
oh.
Dog.
I was like, oh, well, I guess I'm not shocked.
Man, what huge knockers. Thank you. You know?
I mean,
That's fine. That's a comedy.
I'll allow it.
The calling on the field stands. That's a good joke.
That's the calling on the field stands. Mel Brooks. Did he originate the laughs per second? Where every single moment of the film had to have a sight gag or a line gag or a atmospheric gag. It was constantly running.
I feel like there were like other movies like that. I mean, he's coming from the age of like Buddy Hackett, right? Or like other like pow 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 joke
Zing! Joke.
Yeah,
you know. What's your favorite sight gag? Mine's is where Igor is escorting his bags and he's like, walk this way. And he has the cane. And he's walking down the stairs. He's like, no, walk this way. And he gives him the cane. And he's supposed to walk like a... I thought that was so cute. That was stupid.
That was the first time I laughed. And I went, oh, that was funny.
I love the
scene that I chose for our production for this is my favorite scene.
Dude, speaking of which is... let's talk about some of the side characters like Igor, Doug, who was just a walking sight gag, dude.
Abby Normal.
And
the hump that keeps changing sides.
That's the sight gag, and they really don't focus on it. You just got to be paying attention, right?
Yeah,
I didn't even catch that.
The inspector with the robotic arm that makes no sense.
He was pretty unique. I was glad to see him pop up. He added in a layer of silliness.
Right.
He was a Monty Python character. That's a Monty Python character, dude.
It took it over the top.
I loved it.
It was Frankenstein, so you're expecting Boris Karloff. I've never seen this movie. I know it's iconic, but I had no idea what I was getting. And again, there were some good highlighted moments in there. For certain.
Another black and white that was beautifully shot. This movie is gorgeous. I don't know. It must be an HD glow up because I've been watching these movies. I'm like, these are the shadowing, the scene projection. It's all really good.
Think about all you watch, like Marvel, like freaking computer animated with bright colors and loud noises. And that's why I was impressed with Some Like It Hot, with the running time and how they filled that entire movie up. And it's like, wow. I mean, we have 2 and 1 hour 20 long minute movies that don't fill it up.
It goes to show that you really don't need all of that to make a good movie, right?
Yeah.
Like, you put this up, made in 1974. Mel Brooks always had shoestring budgets. They used, matte paintings and reused sets and all that. And you put this up against, let's say, Skyscraper with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. You know what I mean? What shot better? Who gave a shit? Like who was like trying to film a film? Mel Brooks is a king. He is untouchable in comedy, right? But to kind of go back to Brian's sentiment, Brian, was it funny?
I laughed 3 times.
3.
We're
going to get you to break that double digits some kind of way.
There is absolutely no way I'm going to be laughing more than like 4 or 5 times.
We just got to get him to Airplane. Just watch Airplane.
If Airplane would have came up in the random select, this may be a different kind of poll, but Winter, what's this funny to you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's so many funny bits, and there's stuff that you miss in the first viewing of it that you can rewatch again. I love it,
man. And with that, let's go into MOTN Masterpiece Theater.
Did you laugh, Mike?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
It was very funny.
Okay.
I'm easy pickings when it comes to Mel Brooks. I'm very used and comfortable to his rhythm, and I got a kick out of this every single time. Every time they say Cloris Leachman's character's name, horses would freak out. and they even did it where there was no horse in sight. Like it was like they were like at like the police station, and he said the name, and it just went off. The horses.
Those are good gags.
It's a super good gag, dude. I'm with it. Oh, good. Let's pull up this script, shall we?
So I will be playing Freddy, and I want the listeners to catch on certain changes to the script that were filmed and put in the movie, which is interesting to me. Like the script said one thing, and then the actor was like, "This is actually a much better line."
Hey, that's called Improv Monday.
Yes. So I'll be playing Freddy, and the monster will be played by the incomparable Brian.
Pooh.
I can't.
All right. And we begin. And now, my fellow scientists and neurosurgeon, I must ask you to suspend belief. For up until now, you have seen the creature perform the simple mechanics of motor activity. That this creature was an inanimate blob which I endowed with the secret of life. Yes! In all honesty, that showed some measure of awe of skill on my part. But what you are about to see next, we must enter into the realm of genius. I say this modestly, because I am myself as in all of the gifts I possess, as if I were observing them in some other person. I think of them only as alone, grateful, of course, that my credit is good. Thus, with the accumulated knowledge of chemistry, electricity, neurosurgery, and art, I now present with what was once an inarticulate mass of lifeless tissues. Ladies and gentlemen, mesdames and messieurs, damen and herring, the creature.
Freddy sits down at a beautiful grand piano. He plays a short trill up to the keyboard. A spotlight hits the darkness next to him, and there, in top hat and tails, stands the monster. He is heavily made up.
If you're blue and you don't know where to go to, why don't you go to where fashion sits?
Ritz.
Different types who wear a day coat, pants with stripes, and cutaway coat, perfect fits.
Ritz.
Dressed up like $1 million trooper, trying hard to look like Gary Cooper.
Sopa-duper.
Insane.
Scene. Fun stuff. I liked how you made it your own, Brian.
Yes.
You made it your own, dude. You did it.
I like
All
it.
right.
I'll-
All right.
All right.
Glad to hear it. Thanks.
You guys are I'm your biggest fans, guys. They gotta fight now, dude.
Dude, let's get to the blood.
They gotta fight now, dude.
We can all
I
agree.
mean, why are we here, Doug?
We can all agree that young Frankenstein wins, right?
No.
Okay.
There's an argument to be made. So, you have these two movies. Our only two black and whites. Our only two films shot before 1980, I think. Yeah. These are senior citizens, guys. These are two films that are classics in their own right. But only one of them's getting out of this alive. Brian. Knife Fight. Beat It. I Don't Want to Be Defeated. Who you got, Brian?
Complicated. And I say that simply because Some Like It Hot, in my opinion, is the better movie to I'm watching. But I laughed 3 times on Young Frankenstein. So, as I finished Young Frankenstein, because that was the second of my movies, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be a very hard cut because, and don't get me wrong, laughing 3 times, that's something for me. That means the movie was actually funny. Like, that's a funny movie for me. So, ultimately, as much as I love Some Like It Hot, and I think it's a great, great film, this is a comedy random select, and you got to go with what's bringing you the laughs. So that's going to be Young Frankenstein.
Winter, should I dare a guess to say you're going to vote for Some Like It Hot?
Well, here's the thing. So these are two movies that, again, going back to, this is a random select, and I think the movies that should move on are those that are closer to being in the curriculum of the MOTN University for comedy film. And I think if I had these two movies in my hand, and someone was like, "What is a good movie to like a good example of a comedic film that I should watch?" And I could only watch one. If I watch both, I'll die.
You'll die.
Young Frankenstein, by far.
So, ipso facto, Young Frankenstein's won this round. Like, no matter what my saying it is.
Well, you can say your countless vote.
100%, because that's what it is. You know, you think I was in Florida.
Hot take.
Mike.
What was that?
I don't know. That was a poor attempt at humor. Some like it hot.
Not a laugh, bro.
It's not a laugh. It can't always be funny, though. Can't always be funny, my man. At first, I thought this was gonna be way more lopsided. I thought it was, oh, Young Frankenstein. Can we call it a night? Let's get beers, guys. But some like it hot took me by surprise, man. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. I thought it'll be something I would listen to on the background while I draw or do some podcast editing. But it really captured my attention. Like as we talked about earlier, it was super funny. And it like Brian said, it really took you on a ride every minute of that 2 hours. Cause I saw the time frame. I was like, crap, this is 2 hours long? 2 hours.
Crap. This is 2 hours long.
That's what I said. I literally said that when I was doing my research, and I was just like, what? Like, why is there a movie in 1959 that's 2 hours long? What is this, Ben-Hur? So I was not looking forward to watching it, honestly. Oh, this is going to be a slum. All of this is going to be, Marilyn Monroe, Marilyn Monroeing it up. But I didn't realize how awesome that is. I didn't realize that, The Odd Couple was in this movie, and it made it so much better. But even though I have an ipso facto vote, if going by winner's criteria, what made me laugh more, it was Young Frankenstein. It's the funnier movie. And in this random select, it's not best movies of all time. The better movie is the better comedy. Right?
No, it's the one where you got to sit down and you want to laugh, man.
Yeah.
You don't want to send someone to a movie where they're going to laugh one time.
100%.
If you're anything like me, which I really hope none of you are, because I hope you all have souls.
Absolutely. You poor unfortunate souls. So there you have
The
it.
question, who's going... do you go to movie theaters to watch comedies, or do you go to watch other
There
things?
is no way in hell I would ever pay to watch a comedy in a movie theater.
You, buddy.
Talking popcorn, parking here in LA, like a soft drink, some dots, and the movie. You're talking $35 for what? I may laugh.
You're missing out, man. There's so many good comedy experiences I had in the theater. I remember
3.
The Nutty Professor. I saw The Nutty Professor in theaters when it came out, and the theater was howling. I saw that movie like 4 times in the theater just for the theater reactions. People were dying. The Dave Chappelle scene where Eddie Murphy was roasting Dave Chappelle. You know what I'm saying? The movie was so funny. Kings of Comedy, I saw that like 7 times in the theater. The entire theater was I've never
Really?
to be honest, you name 3, right?
In the theaters.
In the theaters, dude.
All right.
A good comedy. They don't make them like they used to, mind you. It's been years since there's been a movie that's done that. But Kings of Comedy, I saw that maybe 5 or 6 times. Just like, okay, it's Saturday again. Let's go see Kings of Comedy again at a different movie theater. Like, it was so funny that it was an experience. It's like watching a horror movie with a group of people where everyone's quiet. You can tell it just has everybody gripped, right? The same with comedy. The whole theater's laughing and having a good time, dude. It's like going to a concert. It's such a vibe. And the third movie I would say that I remember seeing that just had the theater howling, funny enough, is something else. There's Something About Mary. There's Something About Mary with Ben Stiller and Cameron Diaz.
I took a date to that though, winner, so that doesn't count.
The dude.
Hey, that is true. That is an asterisk at the end of that.
That's truly an asterisk, but the Franken Bean scene, nobody was ready for that, dude.
Oh my!
Nobody was ready for that, dude. The theater erupted. Everyone was having a good time.
Everyone having a good time.
Everyone was having a good time. But yeah, like if they just don't make comedies like they used to, because comedies don't make money anymore. It sucks. Everything, for being a comic book nerd and a Marvel nerd, I miss comedies that are actually funny and not just trying to cash in and not being so overly PC. You know what I'm saying? Or having so overly of a message. It's just,
aren't most of the comedies made these days actually like Pixar films and like children's films, and they put in the underwriting of the adult theme?
Yeah, and that sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan.
The only comedies you're gonna get now are from what's her name? Melissa McCarthy, and it's not funny.
Mike
McCarthy, not funny.
No, he's the coach.
He's the coach. Still not funny. He's a very serious man. But it's like comedies aren't what they used to anymore. That's why when we chose comedies, it's like I love diving back into these because they're so much fun when they're good. You know what I mean? When they're actually funny. And this being the end of the first round, you know what I mean? We watched some classics. You know what I mean? In these random selects. Even the losers were classic films in my opinion. There was not a bad movie on this list. Would you guys say, like, flat out bad movie?
No.
I know you hate Austin Powers, Winter, but
no, I love Austin Powers. It's more my least favorite movie out of this list was Clueless.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You didn't like Clueless, didn't you?
I would say both those are probably like
the weakest.
Weakest, yeah, for sure.
So we had Young Frankenstein, Austin Powers, Clueless, Groundhog Day, Some Like It Hot, Ghostbusters, Beverly Hills Cop, Office Space, right?
Right. So what's our final? What do we got?
We're not in finals. We're in semifinals, my man.
Semifinals, yeah.
Yes.
Who do we got?
We got Ghostbusters versus Office Space next. Ghostbusters versus Office Space. Kind of feels like, Bulls versus Blazers, but we'll see. That's the whole... Once we get into these discussions, who knows, right?
Who knows, man?
I still can't believe Thing from Another World won that random select.
Anything can happen here, man. Random select.
Hashtag hard cuts, dude.
Absolutely. So,
man, this has been a blast, dude. Where can we find you, Brian?
You can find me over at Washa Shop and Brian J. Wash on Twitter. Washa Shop on eBay.
Buy his stuff, dude. What's your premier item right now, Doug?
My premier item? I gotta tell you, just games, man. Everybody's locked in the house, so everybody's digging back into the archive. I have sold so many freaking video games. It's crazy. I feel like GameStop.
He's GameStop without any of the corruption, Doug.
Yeah, no, it's been great.
And it's no contact delivery.
Absolutely, no contact delivery.
Maintaining social distancing, Doug. Buy stuff from him. Winner, where can we find you?
You can find me on all your favorite social media apps. I'm not on TikTok, and see you on the internet.
On that internet, see you later, Space Cowboy. If you like this content, you can always find us on Twitter. That is at MNerdiverse, where we'll be doing a poll where we will be asking you, the Nerdiverse, did we get it right? Is Some Like It Hot better? Should it have won? Or did Young Frankenstein deserve its right to move on? We'll be doing a poll where you'll be voting, and then we will disclose the vote on the next episode. And if you wanted to support us monetarily, you can always do so via our Patreon, which is patreon.com/MOTN. And if you wanted to support us non-monetarily, you can always like our content. You can always subscribe to our channels and comment on our episodes, because feedback is important. Isn't that right, Brian?
Absolutely.
That's what I'm talking about.
It's the next most important thing, the reading.
Reading is fundamental. Read something, Nerdiverse. Read a book. Read the Silmarillion. Do it. Do it. Read the Ballad of Order 66. Thank you, fellas, for being a part of this random select journey.
Thanks for having me. Much obliged.
Thank you.
We do these once a year, and they're always a blast. And, what better time to do it than now? You know what I mean? Something to watch a comedy. Watch any of these movies on this list. Yeah. Laugh about something. You know what I mean? Have a good time.
Or if you're a single woman, hit me up, Trash Monk the Third, at all your social media. Okay.
Winner is single, ladies. With that, I would like to say thank you. This is your first time listening. I want to say hi and welcome you to the Nerdiverse.
Hi.
Hi. Hello, Miss Parker.
Mrs. Jones, Mrs. Jones, Mrs. Jones.
Hey, Brian, you ever seen Friday?
Of course, yes.
You ever notice that Miss Parker doesn't have any grass, but she's watering the grass? She's watering dirt.
Just this moment.
She's watering dirt, dude. She's just out there for no reason.
That is not grass. Good call.
Oh, man. I was 0 years old when I figured that out.
I did laugh at that movie.
Never seen it. All right. See y'all later.
With that, I'll always say hashtag heart cuts. Hashtag heart cuts, man.